What if the place you called home, the place that gave you hope, was left in ruins by someone you trusted? That's the question Heartland must face after Nathan's choices left behind broken fences, broken trust, and broken hearts. But when the ashes of betrayal settle, there's always a chance for something new to rise. This is the story of how Heartland begins to rebuild from the ruins. The ranch is quiet now. Too quiet. The fences that once stood tall are cracked and leaning, as if they too carried the weight of betrayal. Horses wander with unease, sensing the tension in the air, their calm nature shaken by the silence that has taken hold. The land feels heavy, almost grieving with the family. Nathan's choices weren't just mistakes. They were wounds that cut deep into the heart of Heartland. Trust, once as strong as the oak trees around the ranch, has been shattered into pieces. Amy walks through the yard, her boots crunching on the gravel. She stops at the barn door, placing her hand on the wood, remembering the times this place was filled with laughter and warmth. Now, it feels like a ghost of what it once was. Her gift with horses is still there, but even she struggles to find the strength to use it. Healing horses has always been her calling, but healing herself after Nathan's betrayal feels almost impossible. The weight of it sits heavy on her shoulders. Jack sits on the porch, his hat pulled low, eyes distant. He doesn't speak much, but his silence says everything. He knows what it means to hold a family together when storms hit, but this storm feels different. It's not just about fixing fences or patching up roofs. It's about mending broken hearts, and that is a burden even Jack finds hard to carry. Still, he stays there, like a guardian, watching over the land he has fought to protect all his life. Lou tries to keep things moving, burying her emotions under lists and tasks. She organizes repairs, makes phone calls, and pushes forward with determination. But late at night, when no one is looking, she feels the same emptiness that has settled over everyone else. The ranch was supposed to be unshakable, a safe place where dreams were built. Now, it feels fragile, like it could collapse at any moment. The community around Heartland feels the impact too. Neighbors whisper about Nathan's actions, and though some try to offer help, there is an air of hesitation, a sense of distance. The trust that connected them all has been broken, and rebuilding it seems like a task too great to even imagine. Yet, despite the pain, there's something unspoken that lingers in the air. It's quiet, almost hidden, but it's there. The hope that Heartland can rise again. Just as the land knows how to recover after harsh winters, the family must learn how to rebuild after betrayal. But the path to that renewal won't be easy. It begins with facing the ruins, standing in the middle of what has been broken, and deciding whether to give up or to fight for what Heartland truly means. It doesn't take a grand moment to spark change. Sometimes it begins with the smallest act, like Lou picking up a fallen fence post and planting it back into the ground. Her hands tremble as she works, not from weakness, but from the weight of what it means. Fixing the fence isn't just about keeping the horses safe. It's about proving to herself, and to everyone else, that Heartland can be mended. Each nail she hammers is a quiet promise. We will not let this place fall apart. Tim watches from a distance. Guilt burns inside him like an ember that won't fade. He knows he failed his family more than once, and Nathan's betrayal only pushed those wounds deeper. But as he sees Lou working, he feels something stir. Maybe it's time to stop running from his mistakes. He walks over, not saying much at first, just picking up another piece of wood. Lou doesn't smile, but she doesn't push him away either. That simple silence between them feels like the first fragile thread of repair. Meanwhile, Amy finds herself drawn to Spartan, her loyal partner through every storm. The horse is restless, pawing at the dirt as if sensing her pain. Amy gently strokes his mane, her voice soft but shaky. "We've been through so much, haven't we?" she whispers. Spartan lowers his head, pressing against her shoulder, and in that moment, she remembers what Heartland has always stood for: healing, not just for horses, but for people too. It isn't only the family that starts to stir. Slowly, the community begins to return. Mrs. Bell arrives one morning with a basket of pies, setting them down on the porch without a word. A neighbor offers tools to help rebuild the barn. Even the children, running through the fields with laughter, bring back a sense of life that had been missing. These acts aren't grand gestures, but they are seeds of rebuilding that slowly push their way through the ashes Nathan left behind. And then comes a powerful moment. Jack standing in the middle of the yard, watching his family and neighbors working together. His voice finally breaks the silence he's been keeping. This ranch isn't about one man's mistakes. It's about all of us. If we let Heartland die, then we let betrayal win. But if we rebuild, then we prove we're stronger than the pain. His words cut through the heaviness like sunlight breaking through clouds. Everyone stops, listening, and something shifts. The land itself seems to respond. The sound of hammers, the creak of new wood, the soft nickers of horses all become part of a symphony of recovery. The barn begins to stand tall again, fences straighten, and laughter slowly returns. Each repaired piece of Heartland is more than just wood or wire. It is a symbol that even from ruins, something stronger can grow. But as the family begins to find their footing, a shadow still lingers. Because rebuilding walls is one thing. Rebuilding trust, that will take much more. The work of rebuilding carries on, but peace is fragile. Just when the ranch begins to feel alive again, Nathan returns. His truck pulls slowly onto the gravel road, the sound of tires crunching against stone echoing like an unwanted reminder of the past. The family notices first from a distance. Amy stiffens, Lou's hands freeze, and Jack's jaw tightens. The man who tore their world apart is back, and his presence shakes the very ground they've tried so hard to steady. Nathan steps out, not with anger, but with a kind of brokenness that makes him look smaller than before. His eyes search the faces of the family, but all he finds is silence. Silence heavy enough to crush anyone who isn't ready to face it. He clears his throat and speaks softly. "I didn't come here to cause more harm. I just want to make things right." But words that come too late rarely land the way they're meant to. Jack is the first to respond, his voice steady but firm. "This ranch survived without you. It doesn't need your shadow hanging over it." His words strike like a hammer, but Nathan doesn't fight back. Instead, he lowers his head, almost like a man who has already accepted defeat. Amy can't hold back her emotions. Her voice breaks as she steps forward. "Do you have any idea what you did? You didn't just hurt this ranch, you hurt us. You broke the trust we built, the trust we needed to survive. How do you expect us to just forget that?" Her words hang in the air, sharp and raw, and even Spartan shifts uneasily in the background as if sensing her pain. Lou, however, stands torn. She sees Nathan's regret, but she also feels the sting of betrayal. "People can change," she says softly, almost to herself, "but that doesn't mean they deserve a second chance here." The family looks at her, divided by the very question that will decide the future of Heartland. Do they shut the door forever, or risk opening it again? The confrontation grows tense as neighbors gather near the fence line, curious and cautious. Nathan, aware of every stare, takes a step closer, his voice trembling. "I know I can't erase the past. I know forgiveness is too much to ask. But if you'll let me, I want to work to help rebuild what I broke." His plea is raw, filled with desperation. But trust is not something that can be rebuilt with words alone. Jack takes off his hat, staring at the man with eyes full of history. "This land doesn't give second chances easily, and neither do we." His words leave no clear answer, but they open the space for choice. The conflict doesn't end in shouting or slammed doors. It lingers, heavy and unresolved. Every member of the Heartland family feels the weight of the decision pressing down on them. Forgiveness could mean healing, but it could also mean risking more heartbreak. And as the sun sets over the ranch, the question remains, can Heartland truly rebuild if the past keeps standing at the gate? Night falls over the ranch, and the silence is heavier than any storm. The barn lamps glow softly, casting long shadows across the yard. The family gathers outside, faces lit by the flicker of lantern light, while Nathan stands apart, waiting for their answer. It feels less like a conversation and more like a trial of final judgment that will decide if Heartland lets him stay or sends him away forever. Amy steps forward first. Her voice is steady, but her eyes carry the weight of every scar. "Nathan, Heartland isn't just a place. It's family. It's trust. You tore that apart when we needed you most. If you want forgiveness, you can't just ask for it. You have to earn it. Every single day. Her words strike true. Not cruel, but honest, like a mirror reflecting his failures back at him. Lou folds her arms, torn between reason and emotion. She sees the danger of letting Nathan back in, but she also sees what shutting him out forever could mean. We can rebuild fences, barns, and walls, she says quietly. But the hardest thing to rebuild is faith in someone who's broken it. She glances at her daughters, knowing they will grow up learning what choices are made tonight. Jack, however, doesn't rush. He leans on his cane, staring at Nathan for a long moment before speaking. His voice carries the weight of years and the wisdom of survival. You came back asking for a second chance. But second chances are not gifts. They're responsibilities. If you step foot on this land again, you do it with the understanding that you'll be watched, judged, and every mistake will matter. This family doesn't have the luxury of trust anymore. You'll have to earn it with blood, sweat, and time. Or you leave tonight, and you never come back. The air is so tense it could break. Nathan swallows hard, his eyes glistening under the dim light. Then let me prove myself. Not with words, with work. His voice cracks. But for once, there is no excuse. No defensiveness, only raw, human truth. The decision isn't made with applause or agreement. It's made with silence, a silence that slowly softens into acceptance. Amy turns away. Lou sighs. Jack nods once. The message is clear. Nathan will be allowed to stay, but he no longer belongs as he once did. He is on probation, not just with the ranch, but with their hearts. As dawn breaks, the family returns to their work. Horses run in the pasture, fences stand straighter, and the sound of hammers echoes again. Nathan joins them, picking up tools without being asked. The scars of betrayal remain, but for the first time, there is a fragile sense of hope. Heartland may never forget what was lost, but it chooses not to be defined by ruins. The camera of imagination pulls back on the rising sun over the ranch, golden light spreading across the fields. A voice closes the moment. Heartland is more than land, more than fences, more than barns. It is family, and family doesn't heal overnight. But when it chooses to rise from the ashes, nothing can break it again. The episode ends not with certainty, but with possibility. And in the distance, the promise of more trials, because peace at Heartland never stays for long. The first light of morning spreads across the hills, painting the ranch in colors of gold and fire. Heartland looks alive again, almost as if the land itself has decided to breathe after holding its breath for too long. Horses gallop freely through the pasture, their hooves drumming against the earth like a heartbeat returning to the ranch. For the first time in what feels like forever, laughter echoes faintly, not loud, not careless, but fragile. Like a song slowly finding its melody again, the family moves together with quiet determination. Amy brushes Spartan, whispering to him with renewed strength. Lou arranges supplies, her list shorter now but her hope longer. Tim takes to the fields, working harder than anyone, as if trying to dig his guilt out of the soil itself. And Nathan keeps his head down, his hands blistered from labor. Every nail he drives, every board he lifts, is his silent apology. No one thanks him, no one praises him, and maybe that's the point. His redemption, if it ever comes, won't be through words but through sweat, patience, and time. But just as Heartland begins to feel steady, shadows creep at the edges. A new storm is stirring, not one of weather, but of people. Whispers in town grow louder, some saying Nathan doesn't belong, others arguing that the family was too quick to let him return. The outside world is watching, waiting for the cracks to show again. And cracks, as history has proven, have a way of widening when pressure builds. Amy senses it first. While working with Spartan, she feels unease, like a storm approaching in the distance. Jack, too, watches the horizon with narrowed eyes, knowing trouble rarely announces itself until it's already knocking on the door. The family has chosen the path of rebuilding, but the path ahead will test them in ways they haven't imagined. The camera of imagination pulls back from the ranch once more, the land glowing in the sunrise but framed by gathering clouds. A soft, haunting voice closes the chapter. Heartland has survived betrayal, and from the ruins, it has begun to rise again. But peace never lingers for long here. Every new day carries a new trial. And as one wound begins to heal, another storm is already on its way. The screen fades to black, leaving only a single line. Next episode. When the Storm Breaks, Heartland Season 19. Episode 77. Heartland may be rebuilding, but the land never forgets. Every corner of the ranch carries memories, some sweet, some painful, and some too heavy to let go. As Nathan works quietly in the background, the past begins to echo louder than ever, stirring questions the family thought they had buried. Amy feels it most when she walks through the old barn loft. Dust drifts through broken slats of sunlight, and for a moment, she swears she can hear Ty's laughter. His presence lingers in the wood, in the silence, in the life lessons he left behind. The pain of loss rises again, sharp and uninvited. She whispers to herself, would he forgive Nathan? Or would he tell me to shut the door for good? The question rattles her, leaving no easy answer. Jack, too, is haunted. Late at night, he sits at the kitchen table, his coffee growing cold. Memories of the battles he fought long ago, men who betrayed his trust, family members who walked away replay in his mind. Nathan's return feels like an old scar reopening, and Jack wonders if he is strong enough to lead his family through another trial. The land teaches you to endure, he mutters to himself, but sometimes endurance feels like carrying the same pain over and over. Lou tries to keep the family steady, but even she can't escape the past. Old journals and letters surface as she sorts through the ranch office, reminders of the sacrifices her parents made to build Heartland. She realizes that forgiveness has never been simple in this family. It has always been earned through sweat, patience, and proof. Lou sees Nathan's effort, but she also sees the cracks of doubt in Amy's eyes, the heaviness in Jack's silence, and then comes the whisper of a new danger. An old family friend returns. One with ties to Nathan's choices, someone who knows the truth about the betrayals that nearly tore Heartland apart. Their arrival threatens to unravel the fragile trust the family has begun to rebuild. For the first time since Nathan's return, the family is forced to face a question bigger than forgiveness. What if the past isn't finished with them yet? The ranch, though healing, feels unsettled. Horses sense the tension, pawing the dirt uneasily. The wind through the fields carries an edge sharper than before. Heartland stands tall, but echoes of the past are rising, promising that the battle for peace is only just beginning. The screen fades to dark, leaving the audience with a final whisper. Every wound leaves a shadow, and some shadows refuse to stay buried. The sun sets low over the ranch, painting the sky with fire and gold. The fences stand taller now, the barn glows with fresh timber, and the sound of hooves against the earth rings like music of survival. Heartland has been wounded, scarred, nearly broken, but it still stands. And in that survival lies its true legacy. The strength of family, the courage to forgive, and the choice to rebuild even when the past tries to drag them down. Amy closes the barn doors for the night, her hand lingering on the wood. She feels the weight of everything that has been lost, but also the quiet hope of what still remains. Spartan nudges her shoulder, reminding her that she is not alone, that healing is still possible. She breathes deep, whispering, "We'll be okay. We have to be." Jack watches from the porch, his silhouette framed against the fading light. His eyes hold years of struggle, but also a spark of pride. He knows battles are never truly over. They change, they return, they test you again and again. But he also knows that Heartland is not just a ranch. It is the soul of every person who chooses to fight for it. Nathan works in silence, sweat on his brow, the weight of redemption pressing heavy on his shoulders. Every nail, every post, every moment he spends is not just about rebuilding wood and stone, it is about proving he can rebuild trust, piece by fragile piece. Whether the family ever fully forgives him is a question left unanswered. But he stays, because leaving would mean giving up on more than just a ranch. It would mean giving up on himself. And yet, as peace settles over Heartland, shadows gather beyond the horizon. Whispers in town grow louder, and old friends return, threatens to stir wounds anew, and the family knows that their journey is far from over. Heartland may have risen from Nathan's ruins, but storms never stay gone for long. The camera of imagination pulls away, rising higher over the rolling fields, capturing the beauty and fragility of the ranch. The music swells, steady and bittersweet, carrying the promise of both peace and challenge. A narrator's voice lingers in the final words. Heartland is not just a place. It is every scar, every triumph, every second chance. And as long as the sun rises over these fields, the story of this family will never end. The screen fades to black, and a final title appears. To be continued, Season 19, Episode 77, When the Storm Breaks.